This is Clifford Stone, and you're listening to EA Radio.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of Enigmatic Anomalies, EA Radio. I'm your host, Kevin Keel. This is your special Christmas edition. Thanks for tuning in. Terry Ling has the night off and she's working on more incredible interviews for you dealing with the topic of UFOs. Stay tuned for future interviews with guests such as Paula Harris, Kathleen Martin, and Steve Allen. Tonight, though, we're going to take a different road, a road that takes us into the dark swamps of Florida in search of the elusive Sasquatch, or as he is referred to down here, the Skunky. We're going to be joined by a gentleman who is outspoken in his field and can be very controversial. Tim Fasano has been doing Bigfoot research for several years in the Tampa Bay area and has a very large and dedicated following of people on his YouTube channel and blog, as well as a handful of people who just love to hate him. Tim takes this all in stride, though, and keeps pressing on. Tonight we're going to be speaking with Tim to get his take on a lot of recent Bigfoot happenings and get a little bit of history as well. Hope you can stick with us. This is going to be an incredible night. We'll be right back.
4,734 UFO sightings in 2007. 854 abductions by aliens or unknown species reported by American and British citizens. Press information about collisions with passenger aircraft and UFOs that has been kept from the public knowledge for years. And only one trusted source on information from some of the top UFO researchers in the world. Exclusive information that cannot be found anywhere else on the planet. Trusted, connected, accurate. TheUFOstore.com. Expand your personal library with fast shipping and instant downloadable information from the largest selection of UFO products on the internet by going to TheUFOstore.com or call on the 24-hour, 7-day-a-week order line at 541-523-2630. The truth is out there, and TheUFOstore.com has it.
All right, welcome back. Welcome to EA Radio. I'm your host, Kevin Keel. Tonight we're being joined by Tim Fasano, noted Bigfoot hunter here in the Tampa Bay area. Tim, are you with us?
I am with you.
Awesome. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Well, I'm glad to be here, actually.
Well, before we get started, I just want to touch upon a couple things. Some people know out there we have a long working history over the past year or so, how that all started. And then I want to talk a little bit more about your history, you know, what brought you into searching for Bigfoot, and then what you're working on currently. Sound good to you?
Well, yeah. Anybody that looks at my YouTube videos, which I currently have 1,024 videos, a good number of them include you and I working together. So it's not like you're just a moderator doing a radio show tonight. You're somebody that actually knows me and can speak to some of the controversial issues about me, which are really just figments of people's imagination. But anyway, I'm here and I'm ready to go.
Awesome. So I've been studying for Bigfoot too for quite a long time, and what happened was me with George McGee, my partner, we were investigating ghosts and Bigfoot and UFOs and such. And I had an idea for EARS, you know, the Enigmatic Anomaly Research Society, and I decided to branch out from there and highlight the hard work of other people in the field. And I started following your videos sometime in 2012, and I was watching all your videos and was highly impressed on what you were doing out there. And I decided to reach out to you to be our first interviewee for our Enigmatic Anomaly show, where you were interviewed with George in the Tampa Bay studio. From there, we went out to our first field investigation out there in January, somewhere in the Green Swamp, and the rest is history. We've been working together closely ever since.
Next week will be 2 years.
Has it been that long already?
Well, that interview was done the first week of January of 2012.
Oh my gosh, time does fly.
So it's been 2 years now.
So what originally got you into looking for Bigfoot?
Well, I'm going to sound like everybody else says, well, I was always interested in Bigfoot, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Which was true. I always did have an interest in Bigfoot and strange phenomena, but never, other than watching TV shows and stuff or reading magazines about it, I never really pursued it as a researcher or an investigator. And I did have a watershed moment, which was a little unusual as far as how people get into this gig. Most people get into it because of a lingering fear they had as a child when they believed they saw a Bigfoot or they had an encounter 20 years earlier. So now they're trying to pursue it to see if they can resolve the issue in their mind as to what they actually saw. I never did have an encounter because I never went out in the woods. I was not someone that was interested in camping or hiking or anything like that. So I was not anyone that ever went into the woods. Subsequently, I've probably in the last 5 years spent more time in the woods than 99.9% of everybody that's ever lived. However, let me get back to the issue here. I was listening to a radio commentator, Michael Medved, who was a movie critic who now does political commentary on a radio program, who's a right-wing conservative Republican. And I listened to his program because he's interested in. He's interesting and he's smart.
Yeah, I'm familiar with his work.
Yeah, he knows everything about every movie that was ever made. He's just that smart and that knowledgeable. But once a month, he does a program on his radio show during the full moon called Conspiracy Day, in which the topic of the day is any conspiracy theory that anyone wants to bring up. And there's a broad range of conspiracy theories, contemporary and historical, that people bring up that he just shoots down. He has a rebuttal for all of them. One of the main conspiracy theories that people bring up is about the Kennedy assassination and about the United States government withholding information to the existence of UFOs. And he destroys those arguments. But for some reason, one day he had on a guest, a lady that was active in Bigfoot research. And she was a guest during Conspiracy Day. And he stated that he actually had met Grover Krantz, that he knew Dr. Bindernagel, that he'd studied the evidence that had been presented for the existence of a North American Sasquatch. And he said that he was convinced that there was a Bigfoot. And considering that he was Mr. Don't believe any conspiracy theory or kook theory ever under any circumstances, here he was stating that he actually believed that Bigfoot was real. And they played a recording on the radio show, which was from the Sierra Sounds audio recordings taken in the late 1960s of reciprocal wood knocking, where someone was banging on a tree and in the distance you could hear something responding to it, which was presented as evidence of the existence of Bigfoot because only primates can pick up something with their hands and bang it on a tree. Now, I was intrigued by that, and the reason was because here was an empirical experiment that you could actually do. You could go out into the woods, you could pick up a stick, you could bang it on a tree and see if something responded to it.
Absolutely, and those are some of the first videos that I've seen that you were posting.
Right. Well, what I did is the next day I went out to an area that I knew of called Dead River, and I had a baseball bat, and I whacked it on a tree, and I actually got a response, which was pointed out to me that it was probably a bobcat that I scared half to death.
Yeah, bobcat.
And I found some MP3 recordings on the internet of bobcat sounds, and it's pretty much sounds like what responded, so probably was a bobcat. But that's okay, because the point is that this was something you could do, and you could, like with scientific methodology, it was something that was repeatable, and you could do this experiment whenever you were out in the woods. Well, I started going out essentially every day, and nothing was really happening until, so when did I start? March 2009. Not much was really happening until the first week of June, when I went out to Hopewell, when I found a massive footprint, and it was indented into the dirt, and I shot the video of it. You've seen that video.
I have.
Right. Well, then I became a believer. I'm just absolutely became a total believer at that point. I knew that there was something out in the woods, and more important than that, I knew that unless I had been going out in the woods for 3 months constantly, this, March, April, May, June, 90 days, basically had, what do they say in AA, go to 90 meetings in 90 days. Well, I went 90 times in the woods for 90 days, and I found Bigfoot evidence. And that was in the first week of June 2009, and I haven't stopped since. And the evidence has been mounting as far as my YouTube videos. I've recorded sounds. I've recorded movement. I've recorded something in the woods, what I call sighting videos. I've heard tree knocking. I've recorded howls. Just about every form of evidence that is historically been presented as proof of Bigfoot, I've come across in some form or another.
Yeah,
some of it not.
Your videos with the howls are quite compelling. If you go to enigmaticAnomalies.com on the Florida Bigfoot Investigators page, I've posted that video that you shot. I don't recall the year, but it was those howls that you recorded. They're very, very compelling.
Well, yeah, the one I did in March 2010.
Yeah, I think that was it.
Is very similar to the Lake County, Florida BFRO recorded howl that is touted on their website as being the definitive howl. Now, mine isn't as elongated as theirs is, but it's the same pitch. And Lake County is 2 counties northeast of where Hillsborough is. So I believe I recorded the same animal. But the point I'm trying to make is that you can't be a weekend warrior. You can't be a once-in-the-month kind of guy or once a year, as many people are. You have to get out in the woods constantly. You have to be out in the woods about as much as a triathlete trains for a triathlon.
Absolutely. You have to be committed to it.
Right. And unless you're willing to make that commitment, then you're not going to find anything. As Matt Moneymaker stated when he looked at one of my videos, which he believed that I had actually had a capture of a Bigfoot, the highest praise he could have paid me wasn't the fact that he thought it was real, but he said that we know for a fact that Fasano spends more time in the woods than anyone, and it's a matter of exposure. And I can attest to that. Do what? I said, and I can attest for that. Yeah, if you're out there enough, it's just a numbers game at that point. You're bound to find something if you just put in the time. I mean, just this week, Christmas week, I've been out 3 times, and I just put up some photos from Booker Creek out in the prairie area, which was Christmas Day. While everybody was unwrapping presents, I was out in the woods. I'm sorry I wasn't able to join you. Well, it really wasn't the woods. Where I was at, it was this real short scrub pine that was charred black. I don't know if there had been a fire out there or a controlled burn. The forestry department does go in there. But anyway, all this stuff was shin high, and I've found what looked like a animal trackway. It wasn't a deer path because it was wide, and those short scrub pines, the prongs on them are almost as is they have tensile strength of steel. When you try to walk through them, they will stop you. It's like trying to go through a turnstile where it's locked. And I had to just literally force my way through there like a fullback. And they kept whipping back on my blue jeans and leaving the black whip marks. Whatever had been going through there had forged a real path, and it was clear. And I went back in there, and I found what I thought was a print. I took a photograph of it, and it's up on SasquatchEvidence.com. It's the latest post. If you go to it, you'll see it. It's dead center on the photograph. There's 3 photos. One is an establishment shot that shows the wide prairie area. The second photo shows the pathway, and the third one shows the photograph of the print. I don't circle it in red or anything because, you either see it or you don't see it. If people don't see it, then maybe it's not a print, but it clearly looks like a print to me with toes. And that led up to this slight burn or berm of sand, like a sandbar, but it was more of a berm because it was 20 feet wide and a mile long. It stretched to the horizon, and I was sort of disappointed because I found shoe prints. There had obviously been somebody else that had gone out there. And if you know me, Kevin, which you do, I prefer to go in areas where other people have not been.
Yeah, once you see boot prints, you're like ready to walk out.
Yeah, pretty much, but that does not preclude that could be a Bigfoot area.
No.
It really doesn't. I've always had the theory that no matter where I've been, somebody else could have been there as well. So I try not to let that mess with my mind. But I did find boot prints, and I did find Grassman. Now, what Grassman was this tree that had grass growing around it, and from the distance when I zoomed in on it, it looked like a stationary Bigfoot, but it wasn't. It was a classic blob squatch.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're new in the business and you go through what I call the everything's a Bigfoot stage, you probably would put that up thinking it was a Bigfoot, but it really wasn't. But it was pretty cool looking. I got a good video of it. I'm going to put it up anyway on YouTube. I'm not going to claim it's Bigfoot. I'm just going to goof around with it and just call it Grassman. But, of course, that'll feed into my reputation that people think for some reason that I'm a hoaxer.
I have noticed that whenever you try to play a little joke or play around a little sense of humor, that people tend to classify you as a hoaxer or somebody who's not serious in what you do. But out of the 2 years that I've been working with you, I can attest that you've never even hinted at doing a hoax or perpetrate any kind of falsity in your reporting. But I'd like to talk more about that when we come back from a quick commercial break. Stay tuned, and we'll be talking more with Tim Fasano when we get back.
For hundreds of years, those that have been curious enough to look to the stars in search of something beyond ourselves have been shunned, persecuted, and laughed at. Now, it's time for those curious few to laugh back. Saucer Seekers is a hilarious online comic strip that takes a humorous look at our world of disinformation while facing everyday life from the point of view of those who devote their lives to the search for the truth. The Saucer Seekers! TheSaucerSeekers.com.
All right, good evening. Welcome back. We are Enigmatic Anomalies Radio, EA Radio. We're talking with Tim Fasano, noted Bigfoot hunter here in the Tampa Bay area. When we left for commercial break, Tim started talking about the people who, let's just say they're freely ready to accuse you of hoaxing. I mean, that's got to take its toll on you, Tim, after a while. How do you feel about that?
Well, I never liked it because I wasn't a hoaxer. I did go through, admittedly, in my early days, the everything's a Bigfoot phase, where I did present some blob squatches that I thought might have been Bigfoot, but now I realize they weren't. But I don't present those things anymore. And I haven't for years. That's not being a hoaxer. That's just being new to the woods and being naive. Like I told you in the opening of this program, on that day when I heard that Michael Medved broadcast, I was not anybody that had ever been out in the woods. Other than 11 years old on a Boy Scout camping trip, I had never been in the woods. So I had no familiarity with it. It was pretty scary, actually. First time you walk out there in the woods and it's quiet, you're looking around going, "Is some animal going to attack me?" And but I've moved on from that. And the fact that I work with you and George, who I can definitely say you guys in no way, shape, or form would ever associate yourselves with a hoax, correct?
That is absolutely correct. I mean, I couldn't live with myself.
Well, no, there's just no doubt about it. You, George, Rob, Mike are paranormal investigators, and you guys are you believe that these things are real, but you want to find real evidence. You don't want to phony it up.
No, I mean, that would be the ideal way to get viewership or people to watch your videos or listen to your radio shows, but I'm just not into that. I just want my work to stand on its own and your work to stand on its own. And there's people.
Well, that's what I liked about you guys. So my question, anybody that thinks that I'm a hoaxer, why would I almost exclusively work with people who are the antithesis of hoaxers? That wouldn't make any sense, would it?
No, certainly not.
No, because the truth of the matter is, next week would be 1 year when you did that interview with me at the old cigar factory.
Yeah.
Right. If I was a hoaxer and I'd sensed that you guys were not, I would have walked in, I would have done the interview, I would have walked out, and you guys never would have seen me again.
That was the first time. That was the first time we met.
Right, and it would have been the last time we met if I had been a hoaxer.
Certainly would have.
There's no doubt about that, because you guys would not have fit in to my grand scheme. Because if my grand scheme was just phoning stuff up and faking stuff, I knew you guys were not going to be that. So I would have had no use for you. I would have done the interview and I would have left, and that would have been the end of it. That's, in my opinion, one of the hallmarks of hoaxers is that they tend to work alone. And alone is good for them because they have no witnesses as to what's going on. And I don't like working alone anymore. The times that you have not been available and I've gone out in the woods like Christmas, I really felt alone. I just didn't feel right. I really felt like you should have been there, or George or somebody should have been there.
Well, you have been working together so much over the past year. Is it 2 years or 1 year? I'm losing track of time. I'm getting old.
Well, it's going on 2 years now, man.
Going on 2 years. And we were out in the woods last Christmas Eve. We shot a little greeting video that we posted. I'm sorry I wasn't able to join you on this past Christmas adventure. I was looking at your pictures that you have posted up on SasquatchEvidence.com right now. There's people can log on there and check it out.
Oh, you're looking at them?
Yeah, I'm looking at them right now. I see the footprints that you had shot, and it's hard to make out from right here, but there's definitely some animal has made some tracks.
Well, the middle photo, you see the pathway?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not hikers. There's hardly anybody that goes out there. That's a watershed area, even though I didn't see any damn water out there. But they call it a watershed.
At least there were no mosquitoes then if there's no water.
No, but it was broad. The top picture will show you that it was as far as the eye could see to the horizon. Mm-hmm. I made it to that tree line, actually. You see in the distance?
Yeah, I do see that. You made it all the way out there.
I made it out there, and then it just went into this thick cypress stuff, and I just didn't have it in me to continue into it because I knew I had a long hike coming back. That's an area that you and I definitely need to get into and explore, but it's going to take most of the day to do it right.
Well, I'm ready when you are, buddy. Mm-hmm. Well, squatching down here in Florida is one thing. I want to announce that in the next couple of weeks I'm going to be heading up to Kentucky to do a little bit of squatching up there. I'm not sure when I'm going to do that, but in the hills of Kentucky, there's supposedly, I think Melba Ketchum actually had something some information about thousands of Bigfoot up there, or I don't know. I'm still studying into that, but I look forward to that different terrain to try to explore. I wish you could join me.
Well, I wish I could, but the Monster Quest episode of the Kentucky Bigfoot, the Bluegrass Bigfoot, you really need to take a look at that before you go up there.
Alrighty, I will do that.
To give you a clue as to where to go. I believe that's the episode where they find a really big tooth.
That's not the one where they were filming one asleep, was it?
They will film what?
There was one video I saw. I'm not sure it was shot. They were reportedly were shooting a Bigfoot that was laying on the ground asleep. I don't know, me, if I had seen something laying there on the ground.
The Erickson Project. That was supposed to be in Kentucky, I think.
If I had seen something laying on the ground asleep, I'm pretty sure I would have tried to waken it up and somehow got some better footage than just this hairy little thing breathing in and out. That's just me.
Right,
you know, when we think we hear something in the woods, I'm ready to dart off after it.
Well, yeah, that's why most people who saw that were sort of underwhelmed by it. Most people didn't really think much of it. Mm-hmm. Some people said it looked like a rug.
Yeah.
With a respirator under it or something.
Exactly.
So I don't know.
That's exactly what I thought.
I just read what people were commenting on about it.
The video that you shot in the Green Swamp, which was on our anniversary of George and I finding the trackway, that video is quite compelling. If nobody's seen that on the YouTube channel, that needs to be checked out. It's very quick, it's very brief, but it does look like 2 to 3 moving in a pod behind a series of palmettos.
Right, that's the video that Matt Moneymaker commented on Twitter about.
Mm-hmm. Well,
yeah, and then there was the video that I shot Thanksgiving Day that turned out not to be, because when I went back in the subsequent investigation, I realized how close I was to that trail.
Oh, that video, yeah, that one. I was like, oh my gosh, you certainly had caught one. But
right, well,
I'm glad you were able to debunk that.
Well, yeah, remember I told you when we were out at Starkey that, because you were like, well, Tim, how come you're not all over it, man? You're just ignoring it. You're not paying any attention to it. And I told you, well, because I went out there and retraced my steps and then realized that I was 30 feet away from a well-used trail. So I had come to the conclusion that what I may have actually filmed was somebody walking through there, and shooting through the foliage made it look dark and imposing.
Well, I'm glad you were able to debunk that.
Well, to be fair about it, what I did is I put the original video up on YouTube, not the one through the LCD screen.
Right.
But I put the original up on YouTube, and some people did look at it. One guy had the ability to put it on a widescreen TV. You can do that with the internet?
Yes.
Yeah, well, he put it on widescreen TV, and he said that he could see that the person was wearing a hat and a light blue jacket.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know.
Well, yeah. But see, that's another point I'm trying to bring out, is that if you're a hoaxer, you don't put it up on the internet where people can scrutinize it and determine what it was. I put it up there for the whole world to see.
Mm-hmm.
But that was after I told you that I had extreme doubt as to that being something other than a hiker. I did not know I was that close to the trail because I'd come in from a different angle and had forged a way along that creek line, which I shot video of the day after Christmas. Man, I'm getting all mixed up now. I've been out so much.
They just start to blend into each other.
A completely different area, let's just put it that way. So it was not Christmas Day. When the heck could it have been? The day before Christmas I was out there. Anyway, I've got video of that shows the creek line, and that's an area that goes into that Hillsborough wilderness area that you said when you would look at it on Google Maps, that it's just really expansive in there.
It is quite huge, and it's got a ample water supply. Yeah,
and we did the trail cam deployment in there, but I would like to go in there with you one day and try to follow that creek line. I'm certain that's got to go back to the river. Maybe you could look that up on Google Earth. Maybe you can see it.
Oh, we'll definitely just set a date for that, because now we're falling into Bigfoot season down here in Florida, where the temperatures don't go much above 70, 75, and there's no rain, and the mosquitoes have pretty much died off.
No, we need cooler weather to get back in there.
And tomorrow's going to be 85.
I did tell you I was encountering mosquitoes when I was trying to get back in there.
It's not like other parts of the country where you can enjoy a fall, winter, and spring squatching. You're pretty limited down here in Florida.
Yeah, but if you want to know what my long-term plans are to continue to work with you and George.
Well, let's talk about that when we come back from break. We need to take a short break and hear from our sponsors.
All right.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with Tim, and here's a word from our sponsors, SeekersParanormal.com.
My name is Michael DeFoy, and I'm the lead investigator for the Seekers Paranormal Society. About 7 years ago, I had my first paranormal experience. Now armed with the latest in paranormal equipment, I'm setting out to find the truth. Joining me on my quest to capture evidence is my equipment tech Ramon Vivas and investigator Steve Welton. Take a front seat into our paranormal world as we are driven into the unknown. We are the Seekers Paranormal Society.
SeekersParanormal.com.
All right, thanks for joining us. Welcome back. We're Enigmatic Anomalies EA Radio. We're talking with Tim Fasano down here in Tampa, Florida, Bigfoot Hunter. Thanks for joining us, Tim.
My pleasure.
All right. What do you got going on in the future? What are your future plans here for 2014 Sasquatch hunting season?
Yeah, I know. It's exciting. 2014 should be a really good year. At some point in the year, I want to make it to Ocala. And I also, before the warm weather hits, I want to make it up to North Florida with you, at least you and Terry, and if George can tag along, to work with the Sasquatch hunters, Stacy Brown Jr. and his guys.
Yep, Stacy's a great guy.
Yeah, I know, and they've come down here a lot. They've gone down to Mayaca. It's about time somebody pay them a visit and head up that way. It's pretty expensive, to caravan several vehicles and motels and food and gas and so we can relieve him of that burden by heading up his way.
Well, I understand you'll be coming down here sometime in January, so maybe we can hook up and head out to Mayaca with him. Well,
the last I heard from him was that he didn't want to go to Mayaca because he had gotten some heat from the state, the park officials or something. Or?
Yeah, I heard that too. I don't know the full story, but he may not go to the park. He maybe go. I think he has access to other areas down in there that's like borderline of the park. I'm not sure.
Well, that's another area we need to go because Mayaca is a hot area. Mayaca is a very real area. There's some sightings down there. I've received email. Recently got an email from a man who was at night doing a reconnaissance from the side of the road where you and I came out of that day that we did our deal coming from the tower.
Yeah, that was an incredible hike.
Yeah, and he said something. They saw something. His wife and daughter saw something, and it scared them, and they couldn't even talk about it for 2 days. And they took off. They got in the car and hauled ass, and they finally opened up about that they had seen a creature.
That's interesting.
Right in that area where we were at. So this is definitely an area that needs to be worked. People who are listening to this that are from other parts of the country, you have to understand that 6-7 months out of the year, these areas that we refer to are usually underwater. Florida is a swamp. Everything from the halfway point south and down, if you're in a wilderness area, it's pretty much underwater between June and October. You just have no access. You just can't unless you got a boat. You just can't get into these areas that you should be walking around in. But eventually the water does recede. This is the beginning of the time of year when we can really get into these areas and do something. January, February, March, April would be prime research, the prime research months, correct?
That is correct, and you must have a good pair of snake boots as well.
Yeah, and hope for really cold weather. To us, cold is, in the 40s at night, which kind of keeps the snakes and the mosquitoes at bay.
Well, anybody who is listening down here in Florida, if they go to FloridaBigfootInvestigators.com, there's a Florida sighting report form so that you can upload your sighting there, and then Tim and I can go investigate, as well as George McGee and Rob Bogus and anybody else here of our Florida Bigfoot investigators.
Yeah.
So what else you got going on, Tim?
Well, there's the continuation of the trail cam project, and we got to deploy these things soon. The last deployment was 6 months for both cameras out there in the summer, and we definitely got some awesome photographs, correct?
Yeah, that was amazing how the
yes.
the landscape would change in a matter of one day. It would be bone dry, and within 24 hours it was underwater and migratory.
Well, as the months rolled on, as the months rolled by from May onward, by late summer, that area had filled in with water, and you started seeing wading birds. And the egrets and the storks and all that were walking around out there, including some deer that were wading. Obviously, you could clearly see they were wading in water. The water was, their feet were under the water as they were coming through. Clear evidence that this area, and that was high ground.
When it was deployed, yeah.
Well, if you remember, in front of it was that ditch or that gully. That thing had to be completely full of water. If you'd been standing in the middle of that gully, maybe your head would be poking above the water. That's how deep the water had to have been up out there.
That was shortly after the tropical storm.
Yeah, well, that's pretty incredible. I mean, there probably was fish and stuff swimming around, but that's what we deal with here. So we have to get those cameras out. Those cameras are on loan from the Olympic project, Derek Randall's Olympic project up in Washington State, and he sent them to me because he knew that I would do the hard work of finding good areas and getting out into the woods and putting them up and being conscientious about that, which you can attest to, correct?
Absolutely. I've been with you every step.
Yeah, the whole way.
I've shot video footage of you traipsing through swamps. Water's up to your knee.
Unfortunately, we haven't gotten anything that was Bigfoot, but we've gotten hogs and deer and turkey and raccoons and birds and everything, coyotes. Only one time did the coyotes show up, but they did show up once. So we've proven that we're in these wildlife areas where these animals live, which is where you want to be. So it's just a numbers game. It's
just a matter of time.
Well, there's a Bigfoot guy named Michael Merchant who responded to the criticism that people say, well, trail cams don't work, that Bigfoot knows what they are, he can see the infrared, he can hear the sound, he can do this, he can do that, blah, 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 blah. Michael Merchant said the trail cams are not the problem. The problem is there are not enough trail cams out in the woods. If the wooded areas were saturated with them, then we would have more evidence.
That's true.
So what we're really doing here, you and I are, we got two cameras. It's a needle in a haystack approach. You can't cover the entire state of Florida with two cameras. So I'm hoping as things get better economically and with my little business that we can get more cameras and get a lot more coverage. Definitely want to go up to Ocala. It's a national forest, which is 80,000 square acres or something. It's huge. It's actually the second largest national forest east of the Mississippi. That's how big it is.
It is quite large, and
I know. And just pick your spots because you can break trail. I mean, what's exciting about it is we can take a trail out 5 miles and then break trail and go 5 miles deep into the woods and then hang a trail cam and then leave it there for 6 months. You talk about being in a desolate, remote area. No one's going to find it. And that's where these things need to be put up.
Well, if you need a good guide going out there, I might recommend our associate, Rob Bogus, who knows the Ocala Forest like the back of his hand.
Yes. Yeah, Rob is the Ocala master.
He is heading out there in a week or so for a 3-day hike between two of the springs out there. He hikes at night when no one else is hiking. He sleeps in the day and hikes at night. But if you're looking for a good guide through there, he's the man to ask.
Well, what most people used to do, the working paradigm was that you would put the game cameras up by deer trails, because Bigfoot would be lying in wait to ambush prey, and that hasn't worked out so good. So there's a new paradigm of just putting these things just in remote areas, just for no other reason other than you get them way out there. And I'm sort of inclined to go in that direction at this point. We've got enough pictures of deer and hogs to last a lifetime. We don't need any more photos of those things.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, so we need to just, think outside the box, break the mold, whatever cliche you want to use, and get these things deployed in some really remote areas. And what I learned from Tom Biscardi when I worked with him is he believed in baiting the area. Baiting when you're hunting is illegal, but when you're not hunting, all you want to do is take a photograph. So you corn seed the area in front of it. You've always used apples, right?
Yeah.
Right. Well, what Tom Biscardi believed in doing was handfuls of corn, just saturating the area, and then taking sardines and peanut butter and rubbing it all over the tree where you have the camera at about 5-6 feet in height. Deliver something in and then leaving the camera there and seeing what you get.
That's a new one on me. Peanut butter and sardines.
Well, we haven't done that because my belief has always been I like to leave things in as close to a state of nature as you can. I don't like altering the environment, and I really stand by that. But
hey, it's worth a shot. Exactly.
After 2 years of doing the old thing, I'm willing to try something different now.
Sure.
Yeah. So we can do some seeding and using the sardines and the peanut butter and whatever. Again, we mean no harm to anything. We just want to take their photo. We don't want to harm them.
Well, this has been a great interview, Tim, and I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you lead some crazy hours with the job that you have to do, and I know you're ready to head to bed, so I don't want to keep you too much longer. Can you talk to us a little about the Seeking Sasquatch thing you got going on?
The blog?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they can find that at SasquatchEvidence.com.
Well, I told you that's a great notion. You got Finding Bigfoot and you got Seeking Sasquatch.
Yeah, well, we're seeking Sasquatch.
Mm-hmm.
We're not finding him. We're seeking him. It's sort of an eternal quest.
Well, do you have your little Palm Pilot out, or your little where you can log on to the internet? Can you open up a browser?
Yeah, it'll take just a couple seconds here.
Yeah, why don't you pop that open?
Well, hold on.
This is the special Christmas show that I explained at the beginning of the show, so Tim is not aware of the present I'm about to present to him. This will be a first. I think he put his phone down, folks.
Hold on.
There he is. You let me know when you've got a browser window open where you can type in an address.
All right, I got a browser window open.
Yeah, can you type in www.seekingsasquatch.com?
Oh, you got the URL to it? Well, hold on a second now. Let me get my glasses.
Like I said, folks, he had no idea I was going to pull this on him.
I was afraid someone was going to steal that. So you stole it?
I did not steal it. I would never do something like that to you. You had a great idea, and I knew that you wouldn't be jumping on it anytime soon, so I purchased it and is now directed at your blog spot. You now own SeekingSasquatch.com. We'll run some music here. Do 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 do. UAECH.com.
Well, how did you get it to go to my site?
I forwarded it to your site. You now own SeekingSasquatch.com. Merry Christmas, my friend.
Wow. Well, that's awesome, man. I appreciate that. Well, Merry Christmas. Is it forward, or is it a forward and with a mask?
Forward with a mask. Now you got SeekingSasquatch.com. Merry Christmas. It's yours, buddy.
Seeking Sasquatch. Well, that's pretty cool.
Well, the main idea was to give it to you. It's yours. It was your idea. It's your baby.
No, I'm saying that's awesome. I'm glad you did that. That's fantastic.
Well, I'm glad you like your Christmas present. I can't return it for a year.
No. You don't need to return it. I really appreciate that. Because other than I got some batteries and a card is what I've gotten so far for Christmas. Now you give me a website, so.
Well, Tim, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us tonight. And look forward to our next venture out in the woods.
All right. Well, thank you, Kevin.
So just for everyone out there, just tell them where they can find your videos and where you can find your blogs. Just give out your addresses.
Well, YouTube is Fasano Bigfoot Research.
That's the name of the channel?
Yeah, it's the name of the channel, Fasano Bigfoot Research.
Okay, and I guess we just talked about
SeekingSasquatch.com.
Awesome. That'll take you straight to your blog, right?
Yeah, as well as Sasquatch Evidence, which in lieu of you getting that, I've got an idea to shift that over to a different blog. The Florida Bigfoot .blogspot blog I've had for 5 years. We could make that the Sasquatch Evidence blog and keep Seeking Sasquatch. Well, we'll talk about it later. It's just an idea. I really appreciate it because I definitely have use for that. So that's cool.
Well, I'm glad you like it, Tim. And thanks for tuning in and being a part of this interview tonight, folks. Check back real soon. We've got some more shows coming up with Terry and stories of UFOs. We'll be talking with Seekers Paranormal and their investigations into ghosts and hauntings, and as well as people down here in Florida in the Tampa Bay area. Enigmatic Anomalies Television, EATV, will be premiering January 10th at 4 a.m. on Channel 38 WTTA. Set your DVRs to record, or if you're up at that time of night, be sure to tune in and join us for the next 13 weeks when we go for our season of EATV. We'll be starting off with a premiere episode up in Brooksville, Florida, the Brooksville Heritage Museum, which is severely haunted. That's a good word for it. And again, thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back next week. Have a good night.
$4,734 UFO sightings in 2007. 854 abductions by aliens or unknown species reported by American and British citizens. Pressed information about collisions with passenger aircraft and UFOs that has been kept from the public knowledge for years. And only one trusted source on information from some of the top UFO researchers in the world. Exclusive information that cannot be found anywhere else on the planet. Trusted, connected, accurate. TheUFOstore.com. Expand your personal library with fast shipping and instant downloadable information from the largest selection of UFO products on the internet by going to theufostore.com or call on a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week order line at 541-523-2630. The truth is out there, and theufostore.com has it. Reported by American and British citizens. Pressed information about collisions with passenger aircraft and UFOs that has been kept from the public knowledge for years. And only one trusted source on information from some of the top UFO researchers in the world. Exclusive information that cannot be found anywhere else on the planet. Trusted, connected, accurate. TheUFOstore.com. Expand your personal library with fast shipping and instant downloadable information from the largest selection of UFO products on the internet by going to theufostore.com or call on the 24-hour, 7-day-a-week order line at 541-523-2630. The truth is out there, and the UFOstore.com has it.
All right, welcome back. Welcome to EA Radio. I'm your host, Kevin Keel. Tonight we're being joined by Tim Fasano, noted Bigfoot hunter here in the Tampa Bay area. Tim, are you with us?
I am with you.
Awesome. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Well, I'm glad to be here, actually.
Well, before we get started, I just want to touch upon a couple things. Some people know out there we have a long working history over the past year or so, how that all started, and then I want to talk a little bit more about your history, you know, what brought you into searching for Bigfoot, and then what you're working on currently. Sound good to you?
Well, yeah. Anybody that looks at my YouTube videos, which I currently have 1,024 videos, a good number of them include you and I working together. So it's
for you, dealing with the topic of UFOs. Stay tuned for future interviews with guests such as Paula Harris, Kathleen Martin, and Steve Allen. Tonight, though, we're going to take a different road, a road that takes us into the dark swamps of Florida in search of the elusive Sasquatch, or as he is referred to down here, the Skunky. We're going to be joined by a gentleman who is outspoken in his field and can be very controversial. Tim Fasano has been doing Bigfoot research for several years in the Tampa Bay area and has a very large and dedicated following of people on his YouTube channel and blog, as well as a handful of people who just love to hate him. Tim takes this all in stride, though, and keeps pressing on. Tonight we're going to be speaking with Tim to get his take on a lot of recent Bigfoot happenings and get a little bit of history as well. I hope you can stick with us. This is going to be an incredible night. We'll be right back.
4,734 UFO sightings in 2007. 854 abductions by aliens or unknown species.
not like you're just a moderator doing a radio show tonight. You're somebody that actually knows me and can speak to some of the controversial issues about me, which are really just figments of people's imagination. But anyway, I'm here and I'm ready to go.
Awesome. So I've been studying for Bigfoot too for quite a long time, and what happened was me with George McGee, my partner, we were investigating ghosts and Bigfoot and UFOs and such, and I had an idea for EARS, you know, the Enigmatic Anomaly Research Society, and I decided to branch out from there and highlight the hard work of other people in the field. And I started following your videos sometime in 2012, and I was watching all your videos and was highly impressed on what you were doing out there. And I decided to reach out to you to be our first interviewee for our...
This is Clifford Stone, and you're listening to EA Radio.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of Enigmatic Anomalies, EA Radio. I'm your host, Kevin Keel. This is your special Christmas edition. Thanks for tuning in. Terry Ling has the night off and she's working on more incredible interviews